Good morning. I'm John Jones, Chairman of the Oklahoma Turnpike Authority. This meeting is being conducted pursuant to the notice provisions of the Oklahoma Open Meeting Act, with all participating authority members attending in person. While this meeting is open in public, there will be no public comments, as is OTA's longstanding historical practice. In addition to being open to the public for in-person observation, the meeting is also being live streamed and recorded for remote viewing. The time is 10 a.m. and I'm calling the March 4th, 2025 regular meeting of the Oklahoma Turnpike Authority to order. Charity, please call the roll.
Mr. Wilberry.
Here.
Mr. Todd Cone.
Here.
Mr. Gene Love.
Here.
Mr. John Titsworth.
Here.
Ms. Dana Weber.
Here.
Mr. John Jones.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. First item this morning is going to be Julie Porter. Good morning, Julie.
Good morning, Chairman Jones, members of the authority. Today I'm here for a sad occasion. The Oklahoma Turnpike Authority is deeply saddened by the passing of former OTA board member Stephen J. LaForge. He passed away on February 14th. He most recently was serving as the District 7 Oklahoma Transportation Commissioner for ODOT. He served as an Oklahoma Turnpike Authority board member from 1995 to 2003, and I had the honor of serving with him. Mr. LaForge was appointed to the Oklahoma Transportation Commission by Governor Kevin Stitt in April of 2019, where he represented District 7, encompassing 9 counties in southwestern Oklahoma. As a respected business leader and community advocate, Mr. LaForge had a focused understanding of the importance of a robust transportation system with a very clear vision for delivering needed improvements swiftly and responsibly. He was a dedicated public servant who truly cared about the people of Oklahoma. His tireless support, insight, and leadership in both his professional and community roles have left a profound impact on not only myself, the other members of the OTA, but his entire state, and his guidance will be missed. Please keep the LaForge family in your thoughts and prayers, and please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie. I believe Mr. Love has some comments he'd like to make.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I knew Steve really well, and in fact, as Julie said, he served as the District 7 Commissioner at ODOT, and I served that same district as a commissioner long before Steve did. But anyway, Steve was just a great Oklahoman, and if you look at what all he did for the Chickasha community and what all he did for the state, it's really remarkable. And I had breakfast with Steve in Chickasha about 6 or 7 months ago, and I knew he wasn't doing well, but what's amazing, even though his health was failing and that sort of thing, he was at the February meeting of ODOT right here, and was very dedicated to the transportation system in Oklahoma, and I think he had the same feeling that I did, that I've always had about transportation in Oklahoma, and that is that a good transportation system in the state is the vanguard to economic development, and we've seen that come true many times over the years, so he's certainly going to be missed.
Thank you, Mr. Love. Anyone else? I think we all received a copy of the minutes from our meeting on February 4th, 2025. As for a motion for the approval of those minutes.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Thanks. Thank you. Ms. Weber, please vote appropriately. As we have a motion and a second, so please vote. Voting is ended and the minutes have been approved from our meeting of February 4th, 2025. Moving on to our items of business, the first items are the finance items. Mr. Cone.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First item is item 1278. Matt Luffelholtz is going to present that.
Good morning, Chairman Jones and members of the authority.
Submitted for consideration and approval of the authority is a request to authorize the director to negotiate and execute the purchase of data storage and professional services for an amount not to exceed $1,810,866. The storage expansion will increase capacity to support growing operational demands, ensure continued performance and reliability, and enhance the authority's ability to meet future needs, including continuity of operations, national interoperability, and cashless tolling. The following item has been approved for purchase from SW 1025PN and SW 1020P from Pinnacle Business Systems. Staff has reviewed the above item and recommends for approval. I would also like to add, this proposal is a capacity for expansion of 1,098 terabytes of data storage. Despite inflation, we've been able to negotiate a price comparable to what we paid for the data storage in 2022 purchase. And the increase was only about $5,387.58.
Thank you, Matt. Any questions? No. If there are none, Mr. Chairman, I would move for approval of item 1278 as presented.
Thank you. We have a motion for approval of item 1278. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thanks, Ms. Weber. Please vote appropriately. Voting is ended and item 1278 has been approved.
Mr. Chairman, my next item is item 1279, and Amanda Bolden is going to present this.
Good
Ms.
morning.
Amanda.
Submitted for consideration and approval of the authority is a request to authorize an additional amount not to exceed $1,500,000 for the director to negotiate and execute separate task orders for general technology consultant services. These task orders will be assigned pursuant to professional services master agreements previously authorized by the board. The revised amount not to exceed for all task orders to be issued under the master services agreements is $7,885,077. Staff have reviewed the above item and recommends for approval.
Any questions for Ms. Amanda? If not, Mr. Chairman, I would move for approval of 1279 as presented.
Thank you. We have a motion for approval of item 1279. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Weber. Please vote appropriately. Voting is ended and item 1279 has been approved.
Mr. Chairman, my final item is item 1280. Ms. Patterson?
Good morning, Chairman Jones and members of the authority. Item number 1280 is the payment register prepared by the Comptroller Division. This payment register includes all payments made for the month of January 2025. The staff has reviewed this item and recommends this item for approval.
Thank you. We've all seen this item. Is any questions? If not, Mr. Chairman, I'd move for approval of item 1280 as presented.
Thank you. We have a motion for approval of item 1280. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Weber. Please vote appropriately. Voting is ended and item 1280 has been approved. Our next item of business are the engineering and construction items. Mr. Will Berry.
Thank you, Chairman Jones. First line item is line item 1281, which will be presented by Mr. Jeff Carter.
Good morning, Chairman Jones, members of the board. Presented for consideration of the authority is a request that the following change orders be approved. Of these change orders, 1 adds new items to compensate the contractor for additional work, and 2 overrun existing items due to site requirements. The change order for TMC 128B overruns 20 existing items, 14 of which involve roadway items, to add 115 feet of full-depth pavement reconstruction to the east end of the project. This change eliminates the need for temporary pavement to match grade to the existing turner, which will be an overall cost savings to the program. This item has been reviewed by staff and is recommended for approval, and as always, be happy to answer any questions you might have.
I think just one comment on Jeff and I talked yesterday and had a great conversation about it, because when you look at some of these things and you see the 19 overruns in cost, it's hard to see what we're doing as a change order here is actually a savings for future projects of the program. So I just want to let that be known, that it's not just a change order because we missed something. It was something that was a look ahead and an efficiency thing as of right now. So With all that being said, does anybody have any questions or comments for Jeff? If not, I make the motion that we approve items 1, 2, 8, 1 as presented.
Thank you. We have a motion for approval of item 1281. Do we have a second?
Second the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Love. Please vote appropriately. Voting is ended, and item 1281 has been approved.
Thank you, Jeff. Next item is item 1282 that'll be presented by Mr. Darren Butler.
Thank you, Mr. Barry. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Good to see everyone this morning. Know y'all had a little rain on you coming in this morning. Good to see everyone made it safely. 3 items for the engineering division I'd like to present for consideration. Once again, that's items 1283 and 1284. First item here, 1282. This is a construction contract award. This is on the Turner Turnpike at our Hayburn Maintenance Facility. The project includes 4,250 square feet of new maintenance facility and a 3,500 square foot salt barn constructed within the existing Oklahoma Turnpike Authority maintenance yard located near Hayburn, again on the Turner Turnpike. You can see there our low bidder was Lambert Construction Company. Low bid amount of $1,927,021.14. This is about 28.4% below the engineer's estimate. Also had several bidders on the project, which is certainly a good sign. Had 9 bidders total. Staff's reviewed the bids, and we recommend approval on that one.
I was going to ask that question. Is that a typo?
No.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's great. The bids were, obviously that's an aggressive bid by Lambert, but again, it's a good market for some good bids, so we're not complaining.
Do these 2 projects, or the facility and the salt barn, are they comparable to what we already have on the system as far as
Yeah,
how they look and appear and things?
Yeah, absolutely, that's correct. We have, I came on board with OTA in 2008, and we were starting our maintenance facility upgrades at that time. Started with, I think, the Indian Nation, McAllister, and then on the H.E. Bailey there at Chickasha. And we've been just slowly chipping away at our main headquarters maintenance facilities. These are some of our, what we call our satellite yards, so they are a little bit smaller facilities. But yeah, this just falls right in line with what we've been doing historically.
Okay, thank you.
Any more questions? If not, I make a motion that we approve item 1282 as presented.
Thank you. We have a motion for approval of item 1282. Do we have a second?
Second the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Love. Please vote appropriately. The voting is ended, and item 1282 has been approved.
Mr. Butler.
Yes, sir. Next item, 1283. This is a contract modification for capital plan project. This is actually the engineering contract which designed the project you just awarded. There's actually 4 construction projects or maintenance buildings that are included in this contract. One of those was the OHP building we awarded last month. Submitted for consideration of the authority's request that the following change order supplemental agreements are approved, be disapproved. Some of these items can be seen here. Again, this is our modification number 1. This is at various turnpikes. This contract modification is to provide compensation for additional design services. These services include providing design, survey, and geotech for an additional equipment enclosure structure at the Cherokee Turnpike facility and 2 additional equipment enclosure structures at the Creek Turnpike facility near Kenosha. The amount due under this contract modification number 1 shall not exceed $80,078.25 for these engineering services. The revised contract amounts are not to exceed of $678.25. Staff's reviewed this item. We recommend approval.
Are there any questions on this item? If not, I move that I make a motion that we approve this item as presented.
Thank
Item
you. We-
1283, sorry about that.
That's fine. Thank you. We have a motion for approval of item 1283. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Love. Please vote appropriately. Voting is ended, and item 1283 has been approved.
Mr. Butler.
Yes, item 1284, this is an on-demand design contract modification for the Access Bond Program. This is contract number CPY-03. There are 4 projects or design segments in conjunction with this contract. This contract modifications provide compensation for additional engineering services for the respective Access Bond Program project. This change will increase the consultant's not-to-exceed contract amount to include additional contract milestones on select projects. Project milestones include planned stages of 30% completion, 60% completion, 90% completion, 100% PS&E, bid phase, construction services, and project completion documentation, including as-built plans. Again, there are 4 projects associated with this contract. For the requested additional funding, the lion's share of that is for the first 2 projects on the list there, which are JKT 30,001 on the John Kilpatrick, which is widening, and then T 26,005 on the Turner, which is widening as well. The amount due under this contract modification number 4 shall not exceed the $8,285,700. The revised contract amounts are not to exceed $28,444,915. Staff's reviewed this modification. We recommend approval.
I always like to see 3/4 of the projects being on the Turner.
I
That's
know
good.
you do.
Any other comments? If not, I'm making a motion that we approve items 1284 as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Berry. We have a motion for approval of item 1284. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Love. Please vote appropriately. Voting has ended, and item 1284 has been approved.
Next item is item 1285, which will be presented by Ms. Rhonda Powell.
Good morning, Chairman Jones, members of the authority. On behalf of the right-of-way division, we'd like to present the following parcel consisting of the approximate acres at the location identified below, was previously acquired by the authority. Parcel number T71-20 in section 20, township 17 north, range 10 east, approximately 3.52 acres on the Turner Turnpike in Creek County. A staff review of the property was conducted, and it was determined that a portion of the described parcel in the approximate acreage identified was acquired as uneconomic remnants and is not needed for any construction or maintenance needs of the Turnpike system. Based on that determination, staff recommends that the authority consider and vote to declare the attached described parcel surplus and authorize the director to obtain a survey, appraisal, and sell, lease, or otherwise dispose of the property, including use in a land swap to acquire other property needed for the Turnpike system. T71-20 was purchased in 1952 as part of the original Turner Turnpike. This area was improved by Project TMC-107B, which widened this part of the Turner to 6 lanes. It's abutted by 1 landowner, and this parcel is considered landlocked. I'd be happy to take any questions.
Are there any questions?
We've had a long time. It'd be good to get it off our rolls onto somebody else's.
Absolutely.
Good. Any other questions?
Any more questions? If not, I make a motion that we approve this item as presented.
Thank you. We have a motion for approval of item 1285. Do we have a second?
Second the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Love. Please vote appropriately. Voting is ended, and item 1285 has been approved.
Last item that I have is item 1286, which will be presented by Mr. Jeremy Smith.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the authority. Submitted for the consideration of the authority is a request to approve the following maintenance service contract renewals. The first one there is INM 23. This is for mowing along the Indian Nation Turnpike. This is a one-year contract in the amount of $465,932. This is the second of two contract extensions and will bring the current total amount of the contract to $1,425,751.92. The second one there is WRM 23. This is for mowing along the Will Rogers Turnpike. This is a one-year contract in the amount of $439,502. This is the second of two contract extensions, bringing the current total amount of the contract to $1,318,506. Third contract for consideration is HEB M23 for mowing along the H.E. Bailey Turnpike. This is a one-year contract amount in the amount of $399,252. This is also the second of two contract extensions, bringing the current total amount of the contract to $1,197,756. The fourth one is for TU M23, mowing along the Turner Turnpike. This is a one-year contract in the amount of $262,392. This is the second of two contract extensions, bringing the current total amount of the contract to $787,176. The fifth one is for CIM 23, mowing along the Cimarron Turnpike, one-year contract in the amount of $246,158. This is the second of two contract extensions, bringing the current total amount of the contract to $782,782.44. If you didn't notice, all five of these contracts will go out for rebid at the end of this year. The average cost per acre for all these turnpikes is around $27.56, which is a very good price.
That is a good price, but that's up just a little bit, isn't it, from last year?
It's up just a hair, but not much. We approved a 3% increase on two of our turnpikes this time last year.
Yeah.
So that includes that extra cost. With fuel and everything else gone up, it was understandable. The sixth contract for renewal is SPSW 24. This is for median barrier sweeping along the Turner, Will Rogers, H.E. Bailey, Muskogee, and Cimarron Turnpikes. This is a one-year contract in the amount of $431,080.20. This is the first of two contract extensions, bringing the current total amount of contract to $862,160.40. Something I just realized I failed to mention is the contractor for each one of those. They're listed on the sheet in front of you. If you'd like me to go through and state those, I'll be more than happy to.
You know, I was just curious, Jeremy, the Terry Enterprises, I mean, these others like MTS Brush Hogging and Lot Maintenance has done a lot of our mowing for years. Is that a new one?
Terry is a new one. They came on board with us at the beginning of this contract. They are actually, I believe, out of the Hugo area, right across so it's my understanding they may show interest in bidding on other turnpikes this year. They're kind of new in the business in Oklahoma, but they have done an excellent job for us down on the Indian Nation.
Okay.
So with that, staff has reviewed the above items and recommend approval. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions or comments for Mr. Smith? If not, I make a motion that we approve items 1286 as presented.
Thank you. We have a motion for approval of item 1286. Do we have a second?
Second the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Love. Please vote appropriately. Working.
What does that mean?
We're missing a vote.
I don't think you can do anything about it now.
Cherokee, let's just do an oral vote.
Mr. Berry?
Yes.
Mr. Combs?
Yes.
Mr. Love?
Yes.
Mr. Titsworth?
Yeah.
Ms. Weber?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes. Item 1286 has been approved. Moving on to the report section of our agenda items. Our first report is the Highway Patrol Report, Major Vowell.
Chairman Jones, board members. For the month of January, Turnpike troopers made 4,234 violator contacts, assisted in 1,035 motorist assists, investigated 145 collisions. They worked 1,048 shifts, averaging 216 miles per shift, for a total of just over 226,000 miles driven. We had 3 reported fatalities in the month of January, and 1 criminal interdiction was reported. And the rest of our special enforcement stuff is in your packets. Do you have any questions?
All 3 fatalities this time were related to cars parked on the side of the road hit by another car. That's, I mean, that seems unusual. Is that?
Yes, for having 3 in 1 month, it was unusual, and they were within a 2-week span as well. So we had 2 on the Turner. 1 we believe was a medicated issue, and then we had 1 on the Bailey. So very unfortunate.
Any other questions? Thank you. Our next report is our consulting engineer report, Mr. Jimmy Sparks.
Good morning, Chairman Jones. Pardon me, members of the authority. Concerning the trust required services, we are well underway with our 2025 inspection cycle of bridges and culverts, and we'll start the pavement inspections in April. In February, our engineers checked 58 special overloads, and if you recall, it was 60 last month, so I think this is probably the highest back-to-back we've seen. So there are a lot of big loads being moved about the system. There were no special inspections in our monthly report, but I did want to discuss a hit last week, and I apologize for not getting the pictures to Lisa soon enough, but you'll see pictures of 2 bridges, and they're only about a quarter to half mile apart on the JKT that were hit last week. And this is Northwest 23rd and Sarah Road, and pretty substantial, damage. And I just want to kind of go through the process outline the process we go through, both in the field and in the office, to determine the safety of the bridges. So, we consider how many beams are damaged and look for cracking up into the web of the beam and things like that. So, basically in the field, it's a quick engineering judgment. Do we need to shut the bridge above the turnpike in these cases? And then, so until we can run a full analysis. So, for example, the Northwest 23rd Bridge has one beam has 2 strands out of 44 of the reinforcing tendons in one beam and 3 in another. So look at it, that's 5 out of the 176 total strands in the 4 beams in that span. And so we modeled the bridge as if those strands are no longer in the beam, and find that make the judgment that the bridge can still carry normal loads that it's designed for, not the special overloads that I talk about above. So calculations back that up. So we've left the bridge open. We did put cones along the shoulder of one because it is an outside beam, just to make traffic kind of shy away from that. So this may come to you next month with the repair being completed, but I did want to kind of show you the photos and kind of go through our process, because it does look pretty substantial. But we'll determine whether it's just to fiber wrap the damaged area, remove all loose concrete, fiber wrap, and then place a concrete mortar, or use mechanical splices in there. So that'll probably come to you next month. So just wanted to point that out. As always, our capital plan project summary is in our monthly report, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
So, sorry, go ahead, Todd.
Do we catch the person that hit the bridge?
Yes, he
Okay.
hit both, and yes, they did catch that person.
So their insurance is gonna pay for it and not ours?
Yes.
Okay.
So this had to be, do you have to have a special permit? I mean, the height of the bridge is 1611, and one of them was 17. So were they illegally driving the
You
load?
should have, and I can't quote.
Oh, okay.
Permitted anything over 14? I'm looking for help here.
I only
Yes.
asked because I was driving to
Well-
Norman on Sunday, and I was following a guy through construction that I guarantee his load was 10 feet wide. I mean, I don't know how tall it was, but it was definitely, and he didn't have any a guy in
Yeah.
front of him behind him. So are these guys doing this on the weekends, I guess?
This was a weekday, and this was
Oh.
just inattentiveness by the whoever loaded the track hoe and didn't fold it under properly, so.
Oh,
Cause it
okay.
was, Pat, 17.6, yeah. So they measured it on site, and that was after it hit 5, 6 beams. It was still, pardon me, 17.6, so anyway.
Gotcha.
That is wild. Thank you. Our next report is our trustee report. Ms. Singleton.
Good morning, Chairman, members of the authority. As bond trustee to the authority, all monthly debt service transfers were made for the semi-annual payments due to the bondholders as required by the trust agreement. And to our knowledge, all other requirements set forth in the trust agreement has been satisfied. Questions of my report?
Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next report is the operating results and financial condition. Wendy Smith. Good morning, Wendy.
Good morning, Chairman Jones, members of the authority. Net toll revenues for January of 2025 on the Oklahoma Turnpike System reported at $35.6 million, and transactions grew by 4.2% as compared to last year. And that's despite the inclement weather that they faced. I know we're really probably remembering more of February, but January we had a couple of snow days in there. And honestly, with traffic being up, that's all thanks to maintenance, right? Because they keep those roads clear. And I think they do such a great job with that, and that allows us to earn the revenues that we need to pay the bondholders and the traffic to just actually go up. We also maintained a conservative approach to spending. It's hard to really measure it after just 1 month. Expenses are 31.2% below the 2025 operating budget. However, I think you're going to see that start to change as we pay for the snow removal and all of those supplies and everything, and again in February, because we actually even had more winter weather in February. But again, good job maintenance, because they allow us to keep collecting and keeping our patrons safe. The Gilcrease transactions do continue to climb, and it's now been open for more than 2 years. Daily transactions on the Gilcrease have increased over 18% compared to last January, going from 20,717 vehicles per day to 24,461. And we are looking at trying to put some things together. I know that we've had some interest. With 2 years, we should be able to put some interesting graphics together and really kind of show what it's been doing over the course of about 2 years and 3 months. So I'll take any questions.
Any questions? Thank you, Wendy.
All right, thanks.
Our next report is the director report, Trenton, January.
Good morning, Chairman Jones, members of the authority. I'm sorry that you're stuck with me this morning. Joe's over at the Capitol, but I will try to do my best. So last week, Joe was over at the Capitol for a press conference on February 24th. It was to reveal the Route 66 theme state map that you can see up here on the board. The Lieutenant Governor was there, former Governor George Nye was there. So this map is going to be a commemorative map to the Route 66 Centennial that's going to take place in 2026. We're proud to be a partner of this significant undertaking. Director Gatz in his report yesterday said they're looking to print 1 million of these. And so it's going to be one of those commemorative things that people are really going to want when they come and visit, with everybody that's going to come visit during the Centennial of 2026. The maps will be available for distribution this spring. The next thing we want to talk about is our legislative pamphlet debut. This pamphlet details OTA information in an easy-to-read format, especially for me, since I've been here. This is my 4th week. I get a lot of information out of this pamphlet. And so these are going to be different things that we can hand out to the public, to legislators, to really let them know what the Turnpike does and what we're planning to do in 2025. They will be available online as 2025 OTA Outlook on oklahoma.gov/OTA website. The next thing we want to bring to you guys, and if I may, I'll ask LaDan Nelson to come and talk about the Great American Cleanup.
Thank you, Trent. Good morning. I am thrilled to announce the kickoff of the Great American Cleanup. This event is held from March 1 to May 31st every year. OTA is a proud sponsor of the Great American Cleanup, which is led by Keep Oklahoma Beautiful and is sponsoring partners. It features thousands of volunteers statewide who keep our highways, roadways, and communities safe and free of litter. Litter is a major issue across the state, and we want to share our efforts that we have done with our teams. So the first thing I want to mention is the Great American Cleanup numbers from our maintenance division. So our maintenance division, between March 1 and May 31st, they picked up over 8,000 bags of trash, over 200 dumpsters full of trash, over 1,800 tires, and over 60 large items, which include wooden pallets, mattresses, anything that's thrown on our roadway, they pick it up and dispose of it properly. And these efforts are done by 11 of our turnpike maintenance crews, and we could not do them without them. Something new that we have done last year, and we're continuing on for this year, is we are doing a GAC Team Spirit Award. And last year, we had the Creek Turnpike, led by Jerry Jenkins. He was the best spirited for us, and that was great because it kept the morale of the Great American Cleanup ongoing throughout those months. So the next item I want to talk about is the OTA Great American Cleanup that we did for the headquarters. That was held last April, and this event was held in Midwest City. It was on Southeast 29th Street. It was a mile stretch that we picked up 47 bags of trash between Sooner Road and Air Depot. We had over 15 volunteers from headquarters, which include representatives from our GEC and from our CFO, Julie Porter. We will have another OTA headquarters volunteer event this year, sometime in April, and we are willing to partner with anyone that is the best fit for us. So this event will contribute to KOB's goal for having 16 consecutive years of cleaning up all 77 counties. Thank you.
All right. The next thing that we want to bring to y'all's attention is the smishing scam update, and I'm going to ask Joni Seymour to present that.
Good morning, Chairman Jones, members of the authority. This morning we want to speak with you about the smishing scam that we've talked about before, but it is seemingly continues to be on the rise and very prevalent with the bad actors out there. We're seeing an uptick in ongoing attempts nationally as well as here in Oklahoma to scam people by sending fake text messages, claiming the person owes a toll. These smishing texts are not related to actual turnpike travel. OTA, along with its partner tolling agencies nationwide, has been very proactive in reporting these scam websites as quickly as possible to have them taken down. The issue is, as soon as one scam website is taken down, 10 more are going live and targeting consumers. We do expect this to continue for some time. That's why we're asking for the public's help in being vigilant about not clicking links and text messages from unknown senders. To be clear, the only text message campaign from OTA is to a very small percentage of our customers, and they come from our debt collection vendor, Harris & Harris. We've worked with them to clearly identify the text is associated with OTA for past due tolls. We urge customers to do a few things. Check your account using approved methods such as OTA's websites at www.pikepass.com or www.platepay.com. You can contact 1-800-PIKE-PASS to speak with a customer service representative from 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Monday through Friday, or obviously visit one of our storefronts. It's important that consumers delete or report these texts as spam or junk anytime they receive them. If you have clicked any of these links provided your information, the FBI advises consumers to take immediate efforts to secure their personal information and financial accounts, as well as dispute any unfamiliar charges. Report fraudulent text messages to www.ic3.gov and it's on the screen as well. We are seeing an increase in call volume due to these and are working on a mechanism, to be able to track them. But just for reference, on February 3rd, we had 8,049 calls into customer service. And yesterday, we had a record day of 8,764. Happy to answer any questions.
Just a comment, I think some members of the board have had that happen. It happened to me yesterday. In my case, the phone number, I didn't click on it, but it was an international phone. It wasn't something from an area code here in the U.S. So I think we're all susceptible, so we have to be on our toes.
Absolutely. And as I mentioned, on the national front with our interoperability partners and other tolling entities, we have a working group that Paul Caesar and Josh Swinson are actively participating in. We were all getting emails Sunday morning about a new scheme that was being seen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next on the report, we're going to talk about some projects we have ongoing. The Stroud Service Plaza truck parking disruption. As part of that project, we want to have a reminder of our ongoing reconstruction of the Stroud Service Plaza. As of last week, all parking was closed except for the few spaces needed for those at Love's and McDonald's for fuel, food, and restrooms. This project will see new facilities being constructed for the Love's Travel Stop and the McDonald's, as well as improved parking lot, providing more truck parking than before. Other improvements will be a more full-service truck stop with amenities by Love's that includes tire repair. The parking lot will be closed until early 2026, but it will reopen earlier if possible. This closure is to provide enough room to safely construct the 2 new buildings and reconstruct the parking lot. We encourage the trucking industry to be aware of this change, plan and locate an alternative location to stop during this time. Any questions on that one? The next project is our I-44 Flint Road interchange opening. A new interchange will open later this month on I-44 Will Rogers Turnpike at Flint Road, East 510 Road near Claremore. It is the second new turnpike interchange to open since we went to cashless tolling. This interchange is a part of a larger project in conjunction with ODOT, which realigns State Highway 20. OTA's interchange provides a direct connection to the new state highway alignment, which is expected to open a little later this spring. For now, Will Rogers motorists will be able to exit Flint Road to the west to access State Highway 66 or to travel east to East 510 County Road. State Highway 20 to the west will remain closed until later this spring. OTA appreciates its partnerships with ODOT, Rogers County, and the City of Claremore on this project. The next project we wanted to bring to the board's attention is adding the Paycom project to Access Oklahoma. Design work is currently underway where we will be widening to the inside of westbound Memorial to change from 2 to 3 lanes between Council and Rockwell. We will also be providing a turnaround bridge at Council and a new eastbound on-ramp from Council to the JKT. The construction cost for this project is estimated at $25 million. The project is set to let in January 2026, with construction to start in the spring of 2026. This project is a joint venture with the City of Oklahoma City and OTA to help alleviate Paycom and additional housing development traffic along the north side. And if any of you have drove that section, you know how much the development is in this area and how much, or if you've seen Paycom trying to get out when they're trying to leave during their shifts, they're having to use Oklahoma City Police to man the lights to be able to get the traffic through. So this will help alleviate a lot of that traffic congestion in that area. Next, we wanted to update you guys on the winter weather and the snow and ice removal. And at this time, I'm going to ask Mr. Jeremy Smith to come up and give a presentation on that.
Good morning again. A couple of weeks ago, we had a winter storm that impacted travel across the entire state. Director E. Kelly has given me this opportunity to discuss that storm and efforts that go into keeping our roads safe for travel. I don't get this opportunity very often in front of you and the public to kind of brag on our crews, but when he extended this offer, I was all on board. So just a few things. Precipitation started falling in parts of the state in the late hours of Monday, February 17th. But crews, we actually always start pre-treating our bridges usually a couple of days in advance. We have 870 bridges statewide that we like to pre-treat before these storms, and that generally takes us a couple of days. So if you recall, that Monday was a holiday, and Mother Nature always seems to find us on our holiday schedule. So sometimes those get interrupted. A lot of our operations were able to wrap up Wednesday night in the west and central parts of the state. But our final crews did not get to conclude operations until that Friday morning, and those were on the Will Rogers, Cherokee Creek, and northern section of the Muskogee Turnpike. Those turnpikes were hit the hardest, northeast part of the state. Just a couple of things I always like to throw out after these storms whenever I go to look at numbers. We worked 5,297 hours just for this one storm. Now, if you recall, that storm started for us on a Sunday, and we didn't finish up until Friday. So a lot of people think, well, it started snowing on Tuesday, and things were moved out of the state by Wednesday. Well, that doesn't quite work that well for us. So 84,837 lane miles were treated and plowed. I was hoping Director Kelly didn't show up in time, because last week I corrected him on some numbers, so hopefully he doesn't do the same to me today. You have some questions? Yeah, I figured that was coming. 6,700 tons of salt and sand were used, 23,000 gallons of mag chloride. But in case we experience any future weather events for this winter, we've got plenty of salt and sand still on hand. But we're hoping that was the last storm, and hopefully spring's in sight. This was a multi-agency coordinated response. Whenever you're talking about a statewide event, getting everyone on board, that is no small task. It was a true joint effort. Partners in that coordinated response included ODOT, OHP, the National Guard, Emergency Management, Health Services, the National Weather Service, the Governor's Office, and probably some others that I could be forgetting. Three SMART teams were activated. The SMART stands for Stranded Motorist and Recovery Team. We had those activated, 2 in the northeast part of the state and 1 in kind of the north central part of the state up on the Cimarron Turnpike. This team consists of the National Guard and the Highway Patrol. You can see a picture there on the top left. That was on the Bonita team. A key focus of their efforts are ensuring stranded motorists on the side of the road can be safely assisted and taken to warmth and shelter. As you recall, we experienced some very cold temperatures. So I know just stepping out and taking some of the pictures that you'll see today, my hands were cold in a hurry and felt like my tear ducts were freezing, but it was very cold temps. This combined effort, though, it makes a huge difference in how our crews are able to respond to these events. So when we're able to get stranded motorists off the road and cleared, it allows our crews to move through much more efficiently. Whenever someone gets stopped on the side of the road, sometimes it's not the easiest thing plowing around a bunch of vehicles. One of the biggest safety concerns that we face every event, and this one was no exception, is the interactions between our plow trucks and our motorists. 3 of our plow trucks were hit in this one storm. 2 up on the Will Rogers Turnpike. That's the one you're seeing right now on video. And the one you're seeing now occurred on the Turner Turnpike. And as you can tell, road conditions were favorable. We had a plow truck traveling inside lane in preparation for the precipitation that was coming, so we were pre-treating the road. We urge the public, please adhere to the warning signs on the back of our trucks that stay back 200 feet. This is for our operator safety and for the traveling public safety. They're trying to make your travel as safe as possible, and so please give them the room to do so. Thankfully, there were no injuries associated with these incidents, and only one of the trucks was temporarily taken out of service for repairs to a wing plow. that's one thing I can say. When we have a breakdown in these events, our staff, they know how to put a Band-Aid on things and get it back operational. The two Will Rogers snow plows that were struck, unfortunately, when these things happen, sometimes result in further collisions. And the two on the Will Rogers that were struck, those resulted in secondary crashes that blocked both eastbound lanes for a couple hours. The Highway Patrol had to divert traffic off at Miami. The problem with these incidents, and as some of you probably have witnessed in your own travels, is when someone sees an accident on one side of the road, they start looking over the wall and rubbernecking. And that was no exception here. Westbound travelers slowing down, looking across because there was a lot of activity going on. And we had some rear-end collisions there, blocking both westbound lanes of travel. So I had to get in contact with the Missouri Department of Transportation. Rather than having everybody sit there for hours and hours, we got a hold of them and got everybody diverted off the I-44 corridor so we could avoid those delays. The problem with having both directions of travel blocked on the far end of a turnpike is we were unable to access the section of turnpike between Miami and the state line until they were able to get westbound travel clear. Because if we send everybody eastbound, they can't turned around and come back west. So that section of the turnpike had to be abandoned for several hours by our plow trucks, but as soon as they got everything up and running, I don't know if it's already come up, I wasn't paying attention there. As soon as we were notified that eastbound was cleared, we sent a group of 4 trucks headed to the state line, clearing it from the wall all the way to the grass. And once we timed it just right so that when they got to the state line coming back west, traffic was clear. We were able to get out in front of the diverted traffic, clear those lanes, and open everything back up. So, again, we always try to urge the public, if you keep 200 feet of distance between you and us, maybe we can avoid these delays in travel. Because as you know, these crashes which cause major delays in transportation are another example of why it is imperative that motorists give our plow operators the space they need to work. Just kind of to wrap up here, at the end of this event going on Thursday and Friday, I had many people reach out to me personally to commend our efforts, saying that the turnpikes were some of the first roadways in the state to be cleared and safe for travel. This feedback is not just encouraging to us, but it's a testament to the hard work, determination, and commitment of our entire maintenance team here at the OTA. That team consists of 2 of my assistant directors, Mike Collins and Steve Allen, Lane McPeak, who's detrimental, or not detrimental, woo! He's very instrumental. Thanks, Joe. I knew he'd be helpful today. Along with the superintendents, and we've got a representative from every turnpike here today because we want to recognize their efforts because there are a lot of long days, nights spent away from family and friends when these events happen. And their number one goal is to always keep the public safe. Now, unfortunately, we can't fit everybody in maintenance into this room, so I would like to recognize their support staff, which includes all the heavy equipment operators, the supervisors, the mechanics, the admin assistants. They all play a crucial role in these events, whether it's just ordering supplies, restocking, whatever it may be. Everybody has their role in keeping travel safe. So as we look ahead, we are eagerly anticipating the arrival of spring. Got some spring rains this morning. We generally feel confident in saying the winter season is behind us the middle of April. Hopefully that doesn't jinx us because we have seen some winter storms in the later part of April. But one thing we would like to remind the public, because as these temperatures rise, that means we're going to be out on the roadways making repairs to all of our travel services. Along with our contractors, they'll be out performing necessary repairs and enhancements to our existing network. This work will require lane closures. I know nobody likes to hear that word, but we can't fix the road without closing a lane down for the safety of everybody. So we kindly ask for everyone's patience and understanding when that occurs. As always, I want to thank you for your continued support during these critical weather events. I was able to update several of you on a storm several weeks ago. Lots of great questions were asked during that, but we cannot do our jobs without your support. So thank you for your ongoing support with winter weather, but also in everything else we do. And I'd be happy to answer any questions. I know there's some great videos up there. And
Any questions? Thank you. Thanks, Trav.
I would just comment that I spent, unfortunately, I wasn't one of those that could stay home, so I spent numerous opportunities on Gilcrease and Creek, and I was very impressed with what you guys did on those roads, so I have no doubt it was that way throughout the whole system, so thank you.
thank you very much for that, Ms. Weber.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to all the team that's been able to stand in for me this morning for just a little bit. I was double booked, actually probably triple booked, but I'm here now, just running just a little bit behind. Really appreciate all the comments and all the things that were highlighted. One that I want to add a little extra emphasis on is the new interchange at Flint Road in Claremore. And that's major. Route 66 is just to the west of this interchange, so this is a new connection. In my career in transportation over the last 24 years now, we've only added a handful of interchanges to the interstate system. And this particular location, getting a new interchange added, is just major. We just don't do that very often, so I wanted to make sure and highlight that. Trent talked about the new interchange that will be, well, last month we talked about a new interchange we opened between Bristow and Kellyville. Trent also talked about adding a project up near Paycom on the Kilpatrick, which is I-344, another new interchange that we're going to try to get under construction next year. So just a lot of really great progress. Again, all because of cashless tolling and all because of some of the things that we've been able to accomplish just in the course of the last few years related to that. One thing that I wanted to highlight today, and I know the director's reports run long, but we've got a lot of things going at the Turnpike Authority, and we feel like it's a great opportunity we want to use every month to update the board and obviously update the public. As we continue to work through the access program, we've come to the point where we've got design done on some of the new alignment, getting near completion between I-44 over at Newcastle over to I-35 between Moore and Norman in that location. The next segment that comes next is from I-35 east and then north up to the south end of the Kickapoo Turnpike at I-40. Portions of that are already in design, and we've moved forward with that just in the last several months. There's one portion that's left to be task ordered back to the designers. That portion is being restarted now. And in conjunction with that, one of the things that we're identifying is where the south extension will tie into that east-west connection there. So we want to provide an update on that portion to the board today. OTA is resuming some of the engineering work on the south extension, which will serve as a traffic reliever route for the congested I-35 southern corridor. We've envisioned this route in part moving heavy traffic out of Oklahoma City Center and off of I-35 to the Oklahoma City Outer Loop, which will ultimately lessen some of the congestion and crashes that are either happening or will happen in the future as that congestion grows between Purcell and downtown Oklahoma City. Other benefits will be new interchanges that connect communities and improve traffic flow and mobility for Purcell, Slaughterville, Noble, Norman, Moore, and Oklahoma City. We can see a future where the traveling public can more safely attend events between Oklahoma City and Dallas, including the OU Texas weekend that I know a lot of people have traveled to in the past and is a real traffic generator, while also knowing that regular I-35 travel might take place with fewer disruptions. You know, I-35 is 4 lanes, and those 4 lanes, when they're all open, it operates just fine between Purcell and the Red River. Every summer, there needs to be a maintenance project to replace some pavement, to do a bridge rehab. When those types of things happen on the south side, it adds to the congestion and some of the backup. So We're just trying to help provide a solution for some of that to lessen the congestion and improve the safety on the interstate. After the February 22nd announcement of the Access Oklahoma Long Range Plan, following just a few months after the director presented and talked about the Turnpike Authority's, the Department of Transportation's need and the Turnpike Authority's ability to provide some of the assistance with these new routes, the program went through a series of legal challenges, which caused us to pause work for 9 months, really put us further behind, but we were successful. The Turnpike Authority was successful in answering all of the legal challenges, and the Oklahoma Supreme Court determined in August 2023 that the program was a valid reflection of legislative intent. Work resumed in early 2024 on some of the Turnpike corridors, such as the East-West Connector and the Turner Turnpike widening, the Kilpatrick Turnpike widening, both carrying the Interstate Shield. We said then that we would return at some point to plan for the stages of the South Extension sometime in the beginning of 2025, and we're happy to be here today to make good on that promise, that we can provide certainty to the property owners sooner rather than later on the alignment in this portion of the program. Since we are just restarting the process on the South Extension, we don't have much yet to share beyond what's currently shown on the program and the preliminary alignment. But we do know that the preliminary alignment didn't get permission to cross the Bureau of Reclamation's property at Lake Thunderbird. It didn't align with the intent of the lake. So we're going to obviously update the board as soon as we know something on that route selection and as it develops. I can say with certainty that the property owners throughout the area in Purcell, Slaughterville, Noble, Norman, Moore, and Oklahoma City are and will remain our priority. OTA and their project team plan to be accessible to the citizens and stakeholders as much as possible. We want everyone to be able to reach out to us as the plans develop, to provide comment and to weigh in on the best route, and we will make them our first priority as the project is given some special attention in the coming months. We are committed to providing firsthand information to property owners as it becomes available, and most importantly, have factual information available about the route, property acquisition, and property rights, and their rights throughout that process. As we're working on some of the more detailed plans that we will bring to you and to the public as soon as more information is available. In the meantime, if somebody has a question or if a property owner wants to reach out, this information is being shown currently on the screen, but you can call 1-844-56-ACCESS, or you can email us at info@accessoklahoma.com. The last thing that was on the director's report agenda for today is a little safety note. We are in the spring. We're coming into March now, and if you've traveled the state in the last week, you've noticed that there's been a lot of property management activity going on with some controlled burns. Hopefully everything you've seen has been a controlled burn. We want to remind the public that this is the time of year that a lot of property managers are managing that property and doing some controlled burns. Sometimes the wind switches and blows some of that smoke across our highways, freeways, tollways, and county roads and city streets. What we want to warn everybody about is if you see smoke on the horizon, you're approaching it, please slow down. Don't drive into dense smoke. Usually the wind can shift back, and that is only a temporary issue. We've had accidents in the past during uncontrolled burns where smoke covered the highway, somebody drove into that smoke and then stopped, and then the next person behind them ran into them, and then we've had some pretty bad accidents. So just want to bring that to everyone's attention. Also, with good weather, the motorcycle riders are coming back out, and even though next month's when we're really going to target motorcycles, I just want to remind motorcycle riders that are out there to please wear a helmet, wear some leather, and if you're in a vehicle, please wear your seatbelt. With that, I'll be happy to answer any questions that the board may have of me.
Any questions?
I just have a few comments. First of all, nice job to your team that stepped in. They did a good job for you, Joe. The second thing is my compliments on the booklet. I think this is really great, and hopefully it'll prove to be useful and helpful. The next thing is my compliments to Ledan on her report on the cleanup. That's always a very important and successful project. I know when I have visitors that come across our state highway system and our turnpike system, I get compliments on things like the cleanliness of it. And the final thing is, we've been hearing a long time about all the problems at Paycom, so I'm glad. So far, before this, we're working on it, so I'm glad to see we have a solution, so thank you.
Thanks, Joe. Our next item is item 1287. Mr. Cohn.
Mr. Chairman, in accordance with Title 25, Section 307B1 of the Oklahoma statutes, I move that this regular public meeting of the Oklahoma Turnpike Authority adjourn and reconvene in executive session for the purpose of discussing the employment, evaluation, and compensation of Joey Kelly, the Executive Director of the Oklahoma Turnpike Authority.
Thank you. We have a motion to adjourn into executive session. Do we have a second?
Second?
Thank you, Ms. Weber. Please vote appropriately. The voting is ended. Item 1287 is passed. We are adjourned into executive session.
And Mr. Chairman, with your permission, I would like to invite Ms. Joni Seymour, Julie Porter, Paul Caesar, Trent January, Lisa Salim, Darian Butler, Nandy Taggart, Jeff Gardner, Mary Biswell, Wendy Smith, Eric Lair, and Joey Kelly.
Thank you. We have a motion to end the executive session and reconvene our public meeting. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Please vote appropriately. Voting is ended, and we are back in our regular meeting agenda. There is no motion for item 1287. I ask for a motion for adjournment to our next scheduled meeting of Tuesday, April 1st, 2025.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Cohn. Please vote appropriately. Voting in is we're adjourned till April 1st.